I have a whole laundry list of stuff, but I'm going to kind of allow you all to start off with any comments or concerns that you may have. I'm going to start by addressing those, and then I'll go through my laundry list. That way we'll have more time to talk about anything that you may have. Is there anything right now that people are interested in chatting about to get more information about, things of that nature?
Assuming that trailers are on and fourth grade are on your list.
Trailers are on, yeah, they are on my list. Yeah, they are. Yes.
I heard that that states are now able to opt out of the No Child Left Behind.
Oh, that's a good question.
And I heard that North Carolina is on the list to do that.
They're trying to, one of the things is the federal government and Arnie Duncan have tried to give some flexibility in No Child Left Behind. It's not completely being thrown to the wayside like he wants to do, but right now they're trying to create flexibility. States really don't know exactly what that means.
Okay.
Really, No Child Left Behind at this point focuses on subgroups of children. So basically you have to have 40 students at a specific subgroup to have them count toward AYP. So for instance, you have to have at least 40 Hispanic students for that subgroup to count. You have to have 40 African American students during the testing grades for that group to count. And then they keep track of achievement gaps. This year was the first year we haven't made AYP. We made 15 of our 17 categories. Exceptional children is another one. And kids can be in multiple categories too. So you can be in white, exceptional children, and something else all at the same time. You can cross boundaries, but that's what AYP is. I don't know what that, we don't have a clue what that could potentially look like for the state. So though it sounds promising, I don't think that's going to mean that testing is going to disappear.
Like
Right.
next year.
No, I don't think testing would disappear ever. It could change the designation of AYP, because what AYP does, if a school doesn't make their designation multiple years in a row, a parent can opt out of a school and go somewhere else. So for instance, in a school that may be struggling academically, I'll give an example. There's multiple schools on Beatty's Ford Road, multiple elementary schools. Say one of those elementary schools has not made their goals for multiple years in adequate yearly progress. When that parent comes in to sign up their child to go to a school, they then are told they have options to go to a different school if they want to. So for instance, they could choose to go to Long Creek, which is further up Beatty's Ford, but they have made their AYP goals, or they have better test scores at another school. So it's really created a lot of problems in regard to overcrowding in some schools versus other schools. So they're trying to play with some of that, but we don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet. But that's a good question. Anything else right now burning? I guess I want to ask this question because it's come up in school leadership team. I've talked to the staff about it, so we've started to pare down on it, but are there any comments or feedback on homework right now in regard to total workload?
Much better.
Much better?
Much better.
Okay. Anything to, same?
Yeah, same
Okay.
here.
All right. Okay though? Not like insurmountable? Okay. I mean, I judge it by my own kids, and I really haven't had arguments with my children, but not everyone's the same as my kids. So I feel blessed that I'm not having to deal with the situation, but I do hear from some families that it's become a battle sometimes because of the loss of that additional 45 minutes of time. So we have been talking to teachers about making sure it's always meaningful, not just to send home an investigations worksheet just because the book says you can send it home, things like that to make it busy work. So I think that's still a work in progress, but we're going to continue to talk about that. You know, the research says out there that homework in elementary school, you know, it's kind of hit and miss. You know, there's not really a lot of documentation saying that it's beneficial. Now, once you get in the middle and high school, it does show a benefit, but in elementary school, it's kind of a mixed bag. So I think we still need to do it. I think teachers are giving options. So for instance, you'll see a lot more where maybe in first grade, I know a teacher has sent home, maybe it was kindergarten, but they're sending home Math Superstars, which is a kind of a looping math program, but they're doing it as an option. If a parent wants to do it with their child on their own, they're allowing them to do that, but it's not something that's mandatory. So if parents want to take it to the next step, they can, but if it's not putting too much on those parents that are really struggling with it. So, you know, I know they're working on it, so I just wanted to kind of get feedback on that. So please keep me in the loop about that. It's something that I have heard, and we're working on it. So we just want to try to find that natural balance in that regard. Anything else before I start going through my list? Yes, ma'am.
Question regarding the
let me go. No, I was gonna say just let me know when you remember, and I'll stop.
No, oh, the progress reports.
Yes.
Okay. When they send the progress report home, is it required, or do you require each of the teachers, like 3rd through 5th, you know, if they've got more than one teacher, to at least comment?
You know, typically the homeroom teacher comments based on feedback they get from the other teachers. You know, the first conference is not the first conference, the first progress report conferencing period is very sticky in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade because you have multiple teachers to deal with. Once that dust settles, it will be easier because you can focus on a specific teacher that you're having a concern with, you know. But no, typically we don't do that. So it's not like 3 comments or 4 comments on a page, it's one general comment.
Okay, but like one general comment, I only got one general comment from one teacher, and it did not include any comments from the other 2 teachers.
Okay. So we can try to look at that.
So, I mean, not like scores-wise, I can see where my child
Right.
is because of
Parent assist.
But if there were any other issues, just because you have an A student doesn't mean that they're
Right, absolutely.
in class or whatever. So,
No, we'll look at that for sure.
okay.
No, thank you. Other things that are going on that are pretty exciting. I mentioned last time about the Jimmy Johnson grant. And with the Jimmy Johnson grant is something we applied for this year. We're one of 27 CMS schools, but other school systems are allowed to participate in it as well. Jimmy Johnson has a foundation that he gives money back to schools mainly, and he gives a lot of money back to schools. So we applied for the grant through our parent-teacher organization. Nicole Wachter is the parent that really worked with me most closely on it. But the vision of it, just so you're aware, is to try to create a mobile classroom environment. Due to our size and due to the fact we continue to grow and grow and grow, we're looking to continue to add to the playground area over on the that far field, but add in a classroom out there. And we also applied for 2 mobile iPad carts, which are basically the old laptop carts that used to exist, but there would be iPads on them. And that would be able to be, kids could take those out and use in the outdoor classroom areas for various projects and activities. So they actually came out and met with us yesterday to go over it with us, to hear what our vision was. We should know before December if we were chosen for that grant. So that's pretty exciting that it would help us with adding our additional phases in our playground, purchase us technology, help us with an outdoor classroom area out there that can be used for multiple purposes. So it ties into a lot of neat things that we're doing at the school. So, you know, keep your fingers crossed on that. But they were very complimentary of the grant that Nicole put together from the PTO. So we were pretty excited after the meeting that, you know, hopefully we have a shot at it. There's a lot more competition this year, they say, compared to last year. But, you know, hopefully we'll maybe even get partially funded so we can start to get some of those things in our school. Other PTO news, in the last few days, PTO has approved the purchase of 4 more smart boards for our school. So actually we're getting ready to put in 7 smart boards in the near future. We actually had purchased 3 that are getting ready to go in, and then we have 4 more. The way I deal with that, just so parents understand how do we choose who gets the smart boards, 1, the teacher has to be trained in how to use the boards. Miss Lipsky, our technology teacher, actually is smart board certified, so she can actually do the trainings. So she does them throughout the year. She actually has one on Saturday that she's going to be doing. But once they're trained, I then look at the breakdown between grade levels. So I try to keep them spread out among grade levels. And yes, we do put them in mobile units. That was a question that came up last time. So all grades have access to them. After these 7 boards get put in over the next month or so, we'll have between 3 and 4 smart boards in every grade level. That gets us up to 28 total. That's still nowhere near the whole school, but you can see that we're working toward that goal. But I kind of spread them out. So we're adding one in kindergarten. That'll give them their 3rd or 4th, I think. We're adding one in 1st grade. We're adding several in 4th grade because they lost them when we had to do all our reconfiguration of our classes. We're adding several more in 5th grade because they were short. So you will see a spread. 5th grade, I mean 3rd grade has the most right now. They actually have 5 of their 10 classrooms have smart boards. So that's kind of how I decide to spread those out. But we want to make sure every grade level has access to the boards. Yes, ma'am.
How much does a smart board cost?
Good question, and you really don't want to know. They're actually $4,000. So it's an expensive investment. Then on top of that, as you get into the process and you start to see how it works, the bulbs in and of themselves are another $200. Well, some of them are. Maybe the new one is. The old ones were $200. So we had to start planning. So we actually take instructional money and put it aside. We asked the PTO to put some of their money aside to help for the bulbs, because as bulbs burn out, that was another cost we didn't realize that existed. So, you know, obviously anytime you're dealing with technology, you're dealing with maintenance issues, and you know, it's like driving a car off the lot. Once you buy the car, it immediately depreciates and there's going to be something new out there. I do want to emphasize to everyone that the technology in and of itself is not the big deal. You know, technology is a medium to share information and to get kids engaged with information, and it's what our kids are going to need to know. But still, best practices are going to be the way in regard to teaching. So it doesn't change how to teach. It makes it better, it can make it more engaging, but it's not going to change how you teach. By giving a kid an iPad and sliding it in front of them, it does not miraculously make them a smarter kid or make you a better teacher. It's how you use the material. For instance, what we're trying to do now is every staff meeting we try to share a new type of medium with our teachers. So last week, I shared something called a Voki. V-O-K-I, and a lot of the teachers use it on their websites. It's basically a talking avatar that you can use at home, and it's a great way to do reading responses with somebody if they're struggling with writing. If they hate to write, it's a cool way to kind of trick them into writing. But basically what you do is go to Voki.com, and it takes you through and you learn how to do it in about 2 minutes. But your child can create an avatar, a computer-generated person with whatever kind of hair they want, or it could be Santa Claus if you wanted it to be. And basically, they put their words in the avatar's mouth, and it talks. So you could send it to someone else, and it could have your child's voice in it, or you can do a robotic voice. So there's two different ways. You can use a microphone or your telephone and have your child call it in, and you can hear their actual physical voice on there, which is really cool. Or you can have them be somebody with an English accent. They could be from Australia. But again, it's just a trick to still get them engaged in the writing process, because they still have to type it in, or they still have to write it and then read off their script. But it's a way to kind of get you to that point. It's kind of a hook that you can get them. Another thing that a lot of teachers are starting to use is blogging, to get kids to write in different ways on engaging activities. I have a 3rd grade teacher playing with that right now. Blogster is another really neat tool that you can use to embed video in, to use with projects and different things. So we're going to start to teach teachers how to use some of these things, because these are the kind of products that kids are going to need to learn how to use when they do presentations. It's no longer going to be the trifold project, that we did when we grew up, where it was a piece of cardboard and we had 3 sections on it, and you're going to glue some stuff on it, and that's the way it's going to be. Prezi's another one. Simplistic, easy way to use, but it's just a fancy PowerPoint. It just uses different animation and dynamics that you can embed into it using visuals to get a point across. I used it with a 5th grade class the other day just to show a leadership project with them, and it's just trying to get them exposed to different ways of doing things. Now, do kids have to use these mediums? No, but we want to make them options for kids to make sure they can try to use them if they want to. So you're trying to create opportunities. Like, for instance, with reading responses, I know Ms. Jackson in 2nd grade gives a laundry list of ways that a child can do their reading responses. Voki's one of those. So if a child wants to try that every once in a while as a different change up, you can do those kind of things. So know that technology in and of itself is not the solution. It's how you use technology for good, and for positive things in the classroom. So those are some exciting things going on with technology. 5th grade Dad's Day is this Friday. That's an event for any parent that wants to come, and if dad can't come, a mom is welcome to attend, or a relative is welcome to attend. We have a brief reception in the morning. I introduce myself and just kind of welcome everybody, and they'll spend about an hour in the classroom in an activity with the classroom teachers in 5th grade. So that is happening, and we do that for every grade level throughout the year. We used to do it over 2 days. We used to have like a K1 or K2 4-day and a 1-3 5-day, but it just became too much, so we spread them out throughout the year. It also stopped parents that had kids in 2 classes where they were trying to be in both places at once. So we basically have them throughout the year. So if you haven't had one yet, you will. It's still coming through the process, but that's coming up. I mentioned that I met with a group of 5th graders this week. one class in 5th grade is doing a leadership project. So I went in and talked to them a little bit about leadership, and I actually used a Prezi, like I mentioned with them. It was a neat opportunity to talk to kids about leadership. You know, I'm going to try to get into classes more often. When teachers invite me, I'll be there. But I thought it was a good experience for the kids to talk a little bit about leadership and what it really means, and get beyond the fact that a lot of our kids think leadership means the boss, or I'm in charge of. And the reality is leadership has really only a small part of that. You can't just make yourself a leader. And we talked a lot about that, and the kids had a lot of insights. Multiple parents had come in and talked to them about that. A military parent had come in and spoken to them. The mayor of Davidson came in and spoke to them. I spoke to them. So we're trying to give them different perspectives on what people think about leadership. So that was a neat project that we did this week. We have the 5th grade Charleston meetings coming up. Scott, do you want to mention anything about that?
Yeah, just real quick. We're going to have our 5th grade Charleston, our parent meeting tonight. We're going to meet in the media center about 5 o'clock, probably about 30 minutes or so, give or take. I know the teachers have sent out a bunch of information, just a little bit about that meeting. I'm just going to kind of talk about what we're going to do on the trip, and kind of talk a little bit about the price and the turn-in procedures, and just try to answer any general questions or anything. But we're going to meet at 5 o'clock in the media center tonight. Like I said, it'll be about 30 minutes or so. And I know teachers have already been sending stuff out on their websites in case you cannot attend or whatever. It has all the prices, what's included, and turn-in dates and everything else out like that. One thing I just want to kind of pick up about what Mr. G said, talking about the technology piece. One of the things, and hopefully I've already seen some kids, especially some of the younger kids, come up and talk to Mr. Higgins and I about this. One of the things that we're trying to do this year is he's kind of changed his Hustling Hawk program slightly. And one of the things that he's trying to do is taking the school as a whole, how many miles they've actually, or how many laps they actually have done during the course of the week, and then he's configuring that up into miles. And then what we are going to do is we're going to kind of play a little game. Where in the world is Mr. Higgins and Mr. Otowski? And so what we're going to kind of do is we invested in it. We bought a green screen. Ms. Thompson, she has helped us shoot some videos and things, and what we're actually doing is we're starting in front of Panther Stadium. We actually sent out a video link yesterday and again today, and today for some odd reason it didn't work as well, so we got to send it back out. But it actually shows Mr. Higgins and I standing in front of Panther Stadium. And so we just give a little speech, and then each week what the kids will do is as they go through and they do their laps, he's going to configure up their miles. He'll send me the miles over the weekend, and then I'm going to pick a new location that we're going to travel to. Like maybe the school had 630 miles, and so I might pick, we went 630 miles north or whatever. So maybe next week we're in D.C. So Mr. Higgins and I will go in, we'll shoot a video real quick of him and I standing somewhere in front of Washington, D.C. And we'll shoot that out to the kids every Tuesday, and then they'll have to try to call in or send something into the media center trying to decide where we are, where in the world we're at. And we sent it out yesterday, and we've had kids already as they get off the bus. We saw you at the Panthers game. Were you at the Panthers stadium? We're like, yes, we were. You know, Miss Jackson told us yesterday in a meeting that her kids wanted to know if we were going to end up in China. So I told Mr. Higgins, I was like, eventually we've got to take a picture of us sitting in a canoe that we're halfway in the Atlantic or somewhere on our way to England or on our way to China or somewhere. But it's just another way to kind of get them familiar with places in the world. And like I've talked with Miss Miller already, and she said that her class has already got a United States map and a world map, and they're going to track wherever we go. And I've talked to a couple other teachers that they're going to kind of track that and everything as well. So it's just another quick, easy thing, but it's something else that we're trying to do with technology and this culture and expose our kids to the world beyond school classroom, I guess.
And these are going to be resources. Yes, go ahead.
Can you take that and run with that with some of the parents that travel, i.e. my husband who is in China, and different places like that, and actually have physical pictures from those places as opposed to pulling them off the internet and having fake ones?
We could, yeah.
We have to try it.
You have to try it,
basically, all we do.
We track with my nieces and nephews track with postcards.
Yeah, well, I mean, all we've tried so far, because this week was the first week we've done it. We basically, I said, with the green screen, Craig and I went in front of the green screen and said our little speech and everything we wanted, and then Ms. Thompson was able to infuse the stadium behind us and everything through a YouTube link, and then we send that link out. It's kind of what we've done so far, but we just, like I said, we've only done it one time at this point, so we're still looking at behind the scenes trying to
get
get
in the back of your mind of all the people that
I wrote a note.
all the
Sure.
parents that do travel and where
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
and how far away they are and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Maybe keep that in the back of your mind.
Definitely.
Is that just specifically for a certain grade that you're
No,
doing
we're
that
sending it
with?
out to the entire school.
Yeah.
Now, how do we get access to that? Because I haven't yet.
Yesterday was the first day that it
Yesterday was
happened. It
first
didn't
time.
work. See, we've done this twice and it didn't work either day.
Yesterday it did
So
work, because I had several teachers who watched it yesterday.
With the volume?
No, after I sent the link out.
Oh, okay.
But then this morning, when I told them to pull it up this morning, they couldn't pull it up.
What we can do is I'll
So I
start
don't know.
putting them in the Hawkeye.
Okay, so is it a link that you send
It's a
to
YouTube.
the teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
The
just a
teacher
YouTube link.
forwards it to the.
No, they're showing it in class.
They're showing it in class.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it's not something like my kid, because each of my kids have a computer and they've been like on a computer since 1.5. And
Right.
Mr. Catchpole did something similar to that. I can't remember what that website was, but my daughter was like so into that stuff like
Right.
that, kind of like treasure hunting kind of thing.
Oh, that Geo.
Oh, I know. what you're
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it kind of sounds something similar
Yeah.
to that, but it's,
Yeah, he
it's
does
fun
that.
For stuff like
That is actually, he explained that to me, and I had no idea what it was. He
Yeah.
does it in the summertime. It's pretty cool.
Eventually we are gonna send it all through the media center. When we tried it yesterday, it wasn't hooked up to the mix board, or I guess the mix board was not hooked up to the computer, and I guess we're missing a couple cords. So for the next couple weeks, we're going to try to send it out as Ms. Thompson and Mr. Higgins and myself complete the video, and we complete it on YouTube. We're going to send out the link to the teachers so that they can share it. Eventually, once we get the proper cords and everything from downtown, Ms. Janko ordered them yesterday, so once she gets those downtown and gets everything situated, we'll just broadcast it out through the morning news. And that was our attempt to try to do that. Yesterday, that was our goal, and it didn't really work as well. So that was why I was sending out the link to the teachers. So eventually, it'll just come straight out to the morning news, so the entire school sees it.
But I can put it on the Hawkeye.
Tying into that whole thing, I think it would be so fun for that, because you guys are so technology driven like that, to build up the kids in doing fun stuff like that, so that on winter breaks and Easter breaks and stuff like that,
Have some of that stuff on
that
there.
you
Have some out
put
there.
some things on there, and then the kids can do some of those educational things. Where is Mr. G at
Yeah.
this week, or where is
No, that's
Mr.
cool.
O at? And I think those would be some fun things for the
Yeah, I
kids
think
who
so.
love to
I
do
think so.
technology
Yeah.
stuff like that. to be involved.
That's a good, I like that. But really this is the tipping point, so what you're trying to do is expose them to it, but my goal is really to get the kids to start to use the green screen. So, I met with grade chair representatives yesterday, and right now this giant green sheet is up in my conference room so they could see it, because that's where we did it. But basically it's like a green shower curtain, and then you use a flip camera and you take a picture of it with them on it, and then you have to embed the video, into whatever area you want to be in. So, the kids can do this too. And the neat thing that I saw that really got my brain thinking about it was, I was in a training where they were talking about a child that was doing research on blood platelets. And they basically first had to research what platelets were. They had to do all their normal research that they would normally do and create basically a script with their research. And then they had to go in front of the green screen and basically talk about their whatever item they were doing. And it could, you think about it, you can make it anything. It could be a leader. It could be a geographic area. It could be a habitat. But then you can embed yourself as the student in your habitat. So if you're talking about the rainforest, you can then, when you show the video, when you're talking, the rainforest is behind you. The one I saw was about blood. So these people were actually in the bloodstream. So two people were in the bloodstream, and you could see, blood, platelets, everything flowing by you and stuff. But I mean, again, it doesn't really take away from the best practice. No, it doesn't. The best practice is still there. They're still learning research skills. They're still learning about the materials they need to learn about. But then again, you're hooking in the mediums a little different versus a child going up there with their little sheet or their poster board and kind of just talking, which is good, and we need to learn how to do that. Why not take it to the next level if a child wants to try to expand some of these things? So I want to make that available for teachers in the classroom to use as well. Again, that's going to take a while. To get people comfortable in doing those kind of things is going to take time, but that's where I want to go with it, is to make these as options for teachers to use with kids. Yes?
Is there a place where we as parents can go to look at your technology resources like this, like have a list?
I mean, I could create one. I can create one. I mean, right now we have, the main things we have smart boards, obviously. We have flip cameras. We have multiple teachers that use iPads. Not a ton, but we have a few iPads that are used in the classroom. We bought several connectors for the teachers so they can hook them up to their projectors. So you can actually hook your iPad up to a projector and do a presentation via your iPad or use apps, whole class. We have quite a few flip cameras that teachers can use for fluency, but we can start to create a little kind of a laundry list of places people can go or things that we have, sure.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Miss Lipsky already has
That ABC's one.
technology.
Yeah. But we can play with that and make it, yeah, that's something we can screw around with. All right. So that's something exciting that's going on. I'm glad you brought that up. Washam Buddies and tutoring. Tutoring is getting ready to kick off. Our school leadership team has started a program called Washam Buddies. We have over 20 parents that have volunteered to do this, and it's really just creating more parent support in the building to work with specific teachers at certain times on a consistent basis. Not necessarily your own child's classroom, but throughout the school. Actually, the goal is not to be your own child's classroom. So that got off to a good start. We went through a training process, and that's rolling out. We also are going to be starting some other tutoring during the day as well in the near future, just to try to help support classrooms. So that's something going on. Mobile classrooms. They should hopefully be done in the next week or so. They've been working pretty much around the clock now. I was here Saturday. They were working on the decking. We're only getting 3. So just so people are aware, we were supposed to get 4, but it's not really going to mess anything up. Miss Woods is going to stay where she is in her classroom on C Hall. We're going to put a smart board in that room, so she's just going to stay put. Miss Mize Wilson and Miss Humes will be the first 2 that leave. They're going to leave the media center, go to individual mobiles. Miss Mize Wilson also will be getting a smart board in her mobile. Miss Humes eventually will be because she's been trained in it as well. But Miss Mize Wilson's getting one. And then Mr. Catchpole will eventually be leaving the art room and going in a 3rd mobile. So they'll all be by each other in 4th grade. And it's going to be a much better scenario than what we're dealing with now. But the first group that will go will be the 2 in Media Center. Mr. Catchpole's already in a classroom, so it's fine. Art will continue to float until we get the 3rd one. But media will be able to go back to the Media Center. We'll get some normalcy in that space. We can reduce our size of the group that's been in our Media Center that have actually done a really, really good job. But it's still going to be much nicer to have your own space. So that should be happening rather quickly. They're here today working on it again. I talked to him. He's trying to get things situated, so we're moving pretty quickly. Yes?
Teachers moving on their own, or are they?
You know, it's good. You know, Miss Mize Wilson had a really interesting idea for that. Yeah, we were throwing it around. We still haven't come up with something specific yet, but there is a possibility that we were going to try to do something where the rooms were already put together, so when the kids went there, they were already going to be done. So we haven't got to that point yet, but we're working on it. So we're gonna try to do that. So what we were thinking is you stay in the Media Center a few extra days. I'll let parent volunteers go in and get the classroom set up. That way when those kids come in, boom, you just get started. So that is, Ms. Mize Wilson had come up with that idea as well, so that's what I think we're going to do, but we haven't sat down and kind of laid that out yet, because we didn't know really when we were going to be able to do it, so I didn't want to go too far and try to pick days and things when we really didn't know exactly when we were going to be able to access those spaces.
With the thought of bringing parents.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's the way we're going to go. So that's the mobile situation. McTeacher Night is the 18th. We have a full slate if you're new to the school. Basically, teachers help work at McDonald's for half-hour blocks of time. We have between 4 and 5 teachers every half-hour block from 5 to 8 o'clock at the McDonald's across from Target up here. Does a pretty good job. I would recommend not coming at 5 o'clock though if I were you. It's pretty packed, so I would wait a little while. I always do the last slot because it's just a little too hectic for that. But it's a good time. Mr. Tornator will be leaving us. He's one of our 3rd grade teachers. He got a promotion to be a literacy coach for CMS. So I am in the midst of trying to hire for that position right now. He has 30 more days with us until I find a staff member, so I've begun the hiring process for that position, but he will be leaving us to work for CMS as a coach going in and out of schools to help with literacy. So that's an area that it will be a loss for us, but it's something good for him and his family. He'll become an 11-month employee, which means he'll be getting some additional pay. And he has his administration degree now, so it's a next kind of step for him in regard to his personal growth. But we're working to find a certified teacher for that position right now. So we started interviewing 2 days ago, and we hope to, get another strong person in here to fill that role. And I'll let teachers, parents know that as soon as we have more information. And then I only have one other thing. I think I've shared this with you before, but I wanted to let people be aware of it. We started something this year called Innovate. And what it basically is an opportunity for teachers to take time out of the classroom to work on new things they want to try with their kids. You constantly hear teachers saying that they don't have time, to do this, that, and the other. The extension of the school day has made things tighter. And you hear that just this time piece about if we want to try new technology, when am I going to have time to actually be able to try to implement that? So what we've done this year is I created something called Innovate, and teachers can apply for time away from class. And basically what it is 3 45-minute blocks of time, and they don't have to be 3 sessions in a row, but I will go in and teach the class, and they will get 45-minute blocks to research a new idea, to figure out how they're going to implement a new idea, and then they bring it back to their classroom to try to do that. We've done it for 2 classroom teachers so far, and I have a third that has shown interest, so that's something else we're doing. One teacher's doing e-books with her class, so she started to research how to do that as part of the literacy piece to tie into writing. It's another free method that you can do with kids to actually, once they create their product, they can create a book. There's one teacher that's starting kids blogging I mentioned, so she was getting classes set up and how to best do that, where you create math topics for them to talk about, and kids can go on and discuss topics about math problems and things of that nature. And we have another one, and I'm losing my train of thought. I can't remember what Ms. Barber wanted to do. We have a third that I can't recall what exactly she's doing yet, but we haven't started with her yet. But it's another way that we're trying to give teachers flexibility to try new things in the classroom. So you may be hearing that I've taught your child social studies, or hopefully social studies, because that's what I taught, but maybe I'm going into math today. I hope the kids will be able to survive my math skills. But we will be doing that hopefully more frequently. Teachers will take advantage of that. But again, the point of it is to get teachers time to research new materials to then be able to bring back to work with your kids and improve instruction in the classroom. And a lot of it's technology based, because that takes a little time to sit down and play around with before you want to present it to a child. So we're pretty excited about that as well. So right now that's all we have. Anything that I kind of have? Yes.
Is there a football game this year?
Yes, there is going to be oh no, it's not football. Because we've been beaten so badly the last 3 years in football, I've decided to move away from football. I guess at 42, almost 42, that it's time for me to hang up my cleats. So we are going to play kickball this year. My hope is it's going to get more staff involved, because not everybody wants to play football. Kickball seems to be more of a universal. It's the 6th of November. Sunday the 6th in November, but more information will be coming out with that soon. If you're interested, if you know a parent that's interested in participating, let me know and I'll forward it to the PTO and they'll get you on the team. I want to make sure everybody has the opportunity, and a lot of times that doesn't get networked out as far out as it should. But that will become, we are doing kickball.
Do you have a date for basketball yet?
No. It's always in the spring, but we don't know yet. Davidson typically, they are kind of on the fence with us about when those things are going to happen, depending on how good their basketball program is and the tournament and all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure where they stand this year, but we will be having one, but we don't know when.
What ringers they hire?
Yeah, that's true too. Anything else? Well, thank you guys again. I enjoy doing this, so thank you and have a great day.